No, I mean, obviously we've had the comments from the Foreign Ministry during the week about their upset over the Australia's pursuit of this independent inquiry into the origin of the coronavirus. This is the first time we've actually sat down with the ambassador here, Cheng Jingye, here in Canberra, and spoke to him yesterday for about 40 minutes or so, and sort of moved it along a bit, warning of the sort of, I guess, the economic repercussions that Australia would face if we continue to pursue this a request for a desire for an international inquiry. So hearing things like not so much the iron ore and gas and coal, which are the sort of the backbone of the trading relationship with China, that wouldn't be at risk, but it would seem more around the sort of the consumer discretionary type items, like sending their kids to Australia for study, coming here for a holiday, or enjoying Australian beef and wine. So would certainly, probably not unexpected, these sorts of threats and warnings. Well, I shouldn't say threat, but a warning, potential boycott, but it would certainly give maybe the sort of the more people who think we should be more friendlier to China sort of ammunition for their calls.
And was the ambassador saying anything to the substance of the inquiry about their handling of coronavirus and giving more access to the information that they have on managing their pandemic?
Well, I thought that there's an interesting point that he sort of acknowledged that there does need to be sort of that when all this is down and done and dusted and countries have finished, I guess, dealing with the immediate health challenge, that countries will review and take stock of what they've done and things like that. But whether that would amount to sort of like a full-scale inquiry sort of thing, certainly an independent inquiry, probably would fall far short of that. The other interesting point too was he was sort of commenting around the origins of the virus. Obviously, most people attribute it to the Wuhan wet market, where there's the wild animal live trade there. He was sort of echoing the official lines that the origins is not certain, not clear, and it should be up to the scientists, which again sort of begs the question, well, perhaps they could be the ones, if we have an independent inquiry, we could work out where this virus originated from.
And it is quite revealing, even the fact the ambassador sat down for an interview with you. This is not the kind of forward-looking kind of approach that they've had to the media in the past, and it shows that this is something that they're really quite hurting over.
It's been interesting, just the sort of the engagement that you've sort of seen from Chinese embassies everywhere. They've been very forthright in terms of publicising on Twitter and things like that, which is banned in China, of course, but publicising the assistance that China has offered to countries that are suffering with through the pandemic. To sit down with the ambassador, from what I understand, there's obviously a fair bit of interest to have a discussion with him about this issue. And I think you can sort of see that there is a lot of sensitivity with China, that they're wanting to sort of get their side of the narrative out there. You know, you've obviously got Donald Trump on one hand sort of saying, at the other extreme sort of saying, you know, it's all China's fault and they've cost us those delays, those weeks of delays. We've got Australia, which is probably, you know, taking a bit more of a sort of slightly tempered approach in its language, but certainly shares some of those sentiments that we were sort of a bit behind the eight ball, particularly with the treatment of the World Health Organization as well. Whether we sort of see this, we saw very early on in the piece the deputy Chinese ambassador here in Australia effectively sort of do a press conference soon after we announced the travel ban. So I think they're sort of very much more aware of getting their message out in Western media and trying to shape the debate.